Why the galaxy's oldest species avoids Earth. The truth still terrifies them. Part 1. First contact gone wrong. The Zarketh were old. Older than most stars in the galaxy. For 50 million years they had traveled through space, watching civilizations rise and fall. They had seen it all. Or so they thought. In their massive ship that looked like a mountain floating in space, the Zarketh Council met. Their bodies were tall and thin with skin that shimmered like oil on water. They did not speak with sounds but with colors that flashed across their skin. The humans have left their solar system, said Elder Maktor, his skin turning deep blue. It is time we meet them. The other 5 council members flashed colors of worry and fear. Must we? Asked Elder Zinve. That planet was marked forbidden for a reason. Maktor's skin rippled with authority. The records of why Earth was forbidden were lost ages ago. We only know our ancestors told us to stay away. But now the humans are venturing into the stars. Protocol demands we greet them. After much debate, the council agreed to send one small ship to meet the humans. They chose Ambassador Kirfal to lead the mission. Kirfal was young for a Zarketh, only 20,000 years old, but they were wise and calm. Remember, said Maktor as Kirfal prepared to leave, observe only. Make peaceful contact. Learn what you can. Far away, near the edge of Earth's solar system, the starship Pathfinder moved slowly through the darkness. It was Earth's first true starship, built to test the new faster-than-light drive. Captain Alan Murphy floated in the command center, looking at the stars on the big screen. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war on Earth. This mission was his chance to do something good. Distance from Earth? He asked. Just past the orbit of Neptune, sir, said Lieutenant Kevin Grant at the navigation station. All systems normal. Dr. Olivia Bennett worked at her station nearby. She was checking data about space dust. She had short brown hair and always seemed too calm, even when things went wrong. Some of the crew found this strange, but Captain Murphy thought she was just focused on her work. Captain, called out Susan Garcia from the communication station. I'm picking up something strange ahead of us. Murphy pushed himself over to her station. What kind of strange? Energy readings unlike anything I've seen before, she said. And they're getting stronger. Commander Jack Lawson, the security officer, joined them. He was a big man with a serious face. Should we power up weapons, sir? Murphy shook his head. Not yet. We're explorers, not fighters. Dr. Bennett looked up from her station. Her face was blank, but her eyes seemed to shine with an unusual light. Perhaps we should prepare a greeting message, she suggested. Before anyone could respond, the space in front of the Pathfinder began to bend and twist. A ship appeared. It looked like flowing water frozen in time with no straight lines anywhere. It was beautiful and strange and clearly not made by human hands. My God, whispered Murphy. First contact. The crew stared in silence. After thousands of years of wondering if they were alone in the universe, they had their answer. They're sending some kind of signal, said Garcia. I can't understand it. It's not radio waves or light pulses. It's something else. Dr. Bennett moved to Garcia's station. Let me see, she said. Without waiting for permission, she began typing on the console. Dr. Bennett, said Murphy with a frown. That's not your station. Bennett ignored him. Her fingers moved faster than seemed possible. I think I can translate it, she said in a voice that sounded different somehow. Suddenly, the alien ship sent out a pulse of light that washed over the Pathfinder. The ship's systems flickered. What was that? Asked Murphy. A scan? No, said Bennett, still typing. A greeting and a warning. A warning about what? Lawson moved his hand to his sidearm. Bennett turned to look at him. For a moment, her eyes seemed completely black. About me, she whispered. The alien ship suddenly began to move away from them. They're leaving, said Grant. Should we follow? No, said Bennett sharply. Then more calmly, I mean, we should send a message first. Murphy looked at her with suspicion. Dr. Bennett, return to your station. That's an order. Bennett's hands were still on the communication console. Just one moment. Captain, I'm almost done. Done with what? Asked Lawson, his hand now on his weapon. Before Bennett could answer, the Pathfinder's systems suddenly came fully online. Weapons that no one had activated began to lock onto the alien ship. What's happening? Shouted Murphy. Shut down weapons. Grant tried frantically to override the system. I can't, sir. The computer isn't responding. The Pathfinder's newly developed energy cannon fired. A beam of bright light shot toward the alien ship. It hit the flowing water-like surface and spread across it like fire on oil. The alien ship didn't explode. Instead, it seemed to fold in on itself, growing smaller and smaller until it vanished completely. Silence filled the Pathfinder's command center. What have we done? Whispered Garcia. The ship's systems returned to normal. Murphy turned to Bennett, his face hard with anger. What did you do? Bennett blinked. She looked confused. I don't know what happened. I was trying to translate their message. You did something to our weapon system, said Lawson, his weapon now pointed at her. No, said Bennett. She looked genuinely confused. I would never. I don't even know how the weapons work. Murphy looked at the empty space where the alien ship had been. Humanity's first contact with alien life. And they had destroyed them. This would haunt him forever. Turn the ship around, he ordered. We're going home, and Dr. Bennett, you're confined to your quarters until we figure out what happened. As Bennett was led away by Lawson, no one noticed the small smile that briefly crossed her face. No one saw her eyes flash completely black for just a second. Back, in the vast ship of the Zarketh, alarms were sounding. The council gathered quickly. Ambassador Kirfal's ship is gone, said Elder Zinve, her skin flashing red and orange with distress. How? Asked Maktor. The humans shouldn't have weapons that could harm our ships. They don't, said another elder. But the final transmission from Kirfal contained something disturbing. The main screen showed an image from the ambassador's ship. It showed the human vessel and zoomed in on one of the windows. A human female with short brown hair was visible. As they watched, her eyes turned completely black, then back to normal. The council's skin all turned white with fear. It cannot be, whispered Maktor. After all this time, renew the quarantine, ordered Zinve. No Zarketh is to go near, Earth or contact humans. Spread the word to all species we know. Earth must be avoided at all costs. And if the humans come to us? Asked another elder. Maktor's skin turned a deep purple of resolve. Then we run. For even the oldest species in the galaxy knows when to flee from a nightmare. Why the galaxy's oldest species avoids Earth, the truth still terrifies them. Part 2. The investigation. 5 years had passed since the Pathfinder incident. Earth had changed. The knowledge that aliens existed pushed humans to develop space technology faster. Now there was a small base on Mars and ships regularly traveled through the solar system. Dr. Olivia Bennett had become very important. She was now the head of the Xenological Research Division, a new part of the United Earth Space Command. Her ideas had helped humans build better engines, stronger materials, and more powerful weapons. Everyone trusted her. Almost everyone. Commander Peter Williams sat in his small office at Space Command headquarters in Denver. He was a military intelligence officer with short blonde hair and serious blue eyes. On his screen were files about the Pathfinder mission. Something about it had never seemed right to him. His phone rang. Williams, he answered. Commander, this is General Harris. I need to see you immediately. 20 minutes later, Williams stood in front of the general's desk. Harris was an older man with dark skin and a completely bald head. He looked tired. Sit down, Williams, he said. What I'm about to tell you is top secret. Williams sat. What's this about, sir? Harris tapped. On his computer, a video appeared on the wall screen. It showed the security feed from the Pathfinder during the alien encounter. Williams had seen it before, but this version was different. It showed Dr. Bennett at the communications console, but something was wrong with the image. Her movements were too fast, almost blurred. "This footage was altered," said Harris. "Our tech team just discovered it. Someone very good changed the original video." Williams leaned forward. "Why would someone do that?" "That's what I want you to find out," said Harris. "There's more." He pulled out a folder. 2 years before the Pathfinder mission, Dr. Bennett went on a research trip to Antarctica. According to the records, she disappeared for 3 days during a storm. When she was found, she was perfectly fine despite temperatures that should have killed her. Williams took the folder. "You think she's hiding something?" Harris nodded. "I think she might not be who she says she is, and I think whatever happened on the Pathfinder was no accident." "What do you want me to do?" "Investigate. Quietly. Dr. Bennett has many powerful friends now. Be careful who you trust." Williams left with the folder. His mind was racing. He needed help from someone good with computers, someone who could dig deeper into the altered footage. He made a call to Lisa Rodriguez, a programmer he had worked with before. She was young, but brilliant. Williams trusted her. They met at a small coffee shop away from headquarters. "So you want me to look at top-secret footage that someone already tampered with?" Lisa asked after Williams explained. She was short, with long, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. "That sounds illegal. It's a matter of planetary security," said Williams. "Something happened on that ship and Dr. Bennett is at the center of it." Lisa sipped her coffee. "Fine, but if we get caught, I'm blaming you." Across the galaxy, on a planet with 3 moons and endless forests, a young Zarketh named Ithvex moved through the Great Archive. The archive was a vast building that held the knowledge of millions of years. Ithvex was breaking the rules by being here. Only elders were allowed in the deeper sections. Ithvex's skin flashed with nervous yellow patterns as they slipped past the guards. They had spent years studying the Pathfinder incident in secret. Something about it didn't make sense. Why would the Council be so afraid of humans? There were many violent species in the galaxy, but none that made the Zarketh tremble. In the deepest part of the archive, Ithvex found what they were looking for: ancient records stored in crystal columns that glowed softly. These were from the early days of the Zarketh almost 50 million years ago. Ithvex placed their hand on a crystal. Images and knowledge flowed into their mind. They saw a younger galaxy. They saw the early Zarketh spreading through the stars, meeting other young species, and then they saw something that made their skin turn white with shock. There was a record of Earth, from long ago. It had been marked forbidden not recently but millions of years in the past, and the reason was terrifying. Back on Earth, Williams and Rodriguez had set up a small lab in Williams' apartment. Rodriguez had been working on the video for days. "I think I've got something," she said, pointing to her screen. "Look at Bennett's eyes in this frame." Williams leaned in. For just one frame, Bennett's eyes were completely black. Not just the pupils, but the entire eye. "Could be a glitch in the video," he said. Rodriguez shook her head. "No. This is the original unaltered footage. Someone tried very hard to hide this frame. And there's more." She pulled up the ship's data logs. During the encounter, the Pathfinder's sensors picked up some kind of energy transfer from the alien ship. It was scanning us. But then there was a response from inside our ship, like something was talking back to them. "From where inside the ship?" Rodriguez pointed to a diagram. "From exactly where Dr. Bennett was standing." Williams sat back, thinking. We need to talk to someone who was there, someone who saw what really happened. It took Williams 2 days to find Jack Lawson. After the Pathfinder returned, Lawson had quit the space program. He now lived alone in a small house in rural Wyoming. Williams and Rodriguez drove there together. The house was old and needed paint. Lawson opened the door before they could knock. He had a beard now and his eyes looked haunted. "I knew someone would come eventually," he said. "Come in." Inside, they sat at a wooden table. Lawson poured them all whiskey. "You're here about Bennett," he said. It wasn't a question. Williams nodded. "What happened on the Pathfinder, Commander Lawson?" The real story. Lawson drank his whiskey in one gulp. We met aliens, and then we killed them. That's what they say happened, right? But that's not the truth, said Rodriguez. No, agreed Lawson. The truth is much worse. He looked at them with fear in his eyes. When the alien ship appeared, Bennett changed. She knew things she couldn't possibly know. She spoke their language somehow. How is that possible? Asked Williams. It's not. Not unless... Lawson stopped, looking scared to continue. Unless what? Pressed Williams. Unless she's one of them, or something else entirely. Lawson poured more whiskey. When the aliens saw her, they reacted like they were terrified. Not of us, of her. And then our weapons fired. I didn't give the order. Murphy didn't give the order. It was Bennett. She did something to our systems. Williams and Rodriguez exchanged looks. Why didn't you report this? Asked Williams. Lawson laughed bitterly. I tried. No one believed me. And then Bennett visited me in my quarters that night. His hands shook as he remembered. Her eyes went completely black. She said if I told anyone what I saw, she would do to me what her kind did to the aliens. I've been hiding ever since. What is she? Whispered Rodriguez. I don't know, said Lawson, but she's not human. And whatever she is, the aliens were so afraid of her kind that they destroyed themselves rather than be taken. Williams felt cold, fear wash over him. If Lawson was right, then Dr. Olivia Bennett, the woman now in charge of Earth's alien research and technology development, was something ancient and terrible pretending to be human, and no one else knew. Why the galaxy's oldest species avoids Earth, the truth still terrifies them. Part 3. The hidden truth. Williams and Rodriguez drove back to Denver in silence. The things Lawson had told them were hard to believe, yet the fear in his eyes had been real. What do we do now? Asked Rodriguez finally. If Bennett isn't human, what is she? And are there more like her? Williams gripped the steering wheel tighter. We need proof, something concrete that we can take to General Harris. Even if we get proof, then what? Bennett has connections everywhere now. Her division controls most of our new technology. Williams didn't have an answer for that. They needed more information about what they were dealing with. When they reached the city, Williams dropped Rodriguez at her apartment. Keep digging into those files. I'll contact you tomorrow. But when tomorrow came, Rodriguez didn't answer her phone. Williams went to her apartment and found the door unlocked. Inside, her computers were gone. So was Rodriguez. On her kitchen table was a single note. Stop looking. Williams felt cold fear in his stomach. He went to a public terminal and sent a message to General Harris requesting an urgent meeting. Then he went back to his own apartment and packed a bag. He couldn't stay there now. As he was about to leave, his phone rang. The screen showed an unknown number. Hello? He answered cautiously. Commander Williams. It was Rodriguez's voice, but she was whispering. They came for me. Bennett's people. I managed to escape, but they have all my equipment. Where are you? I can't tell you over the phone, but I found something before they came. Something big. Meet me at the place where we first talked. Tomorrow at noon. The line went dead. Williams stared at his phone. The coffee shop where they had first met. It would be risky, but he had to. Go across the galaxy. HFY was in serious trouble. After discovering the ancient records about Earth, they had tried to leave the archive quietly, but the guards had been waiting. Now HFY stood before the Zarkeith Council, their skin pale with fear. The 7 elders looked down at them from their high seats, their skin patterns showing anger and concern. Researcher HFY, said Elder Maktor, you have violated our most sacred law by entering the forbidden archives. Explain yourself. HFY tried to stay calm. Honored elders, I was researching the human incident from 5 years ago. I found inconsistencies in our response. I only wanted to understand why we fear them so much. And did you find your answer? Asked Elder Zinve, her skin flashing with dangerous patterns. I found that Earth was quarantined millions of years ago, said HFY. Long before humans evolved. I found records of entities that the ancient Zarketh encountered, beings they called the Void Walkers. The council chamber went completely silent. The elders' skin all turned a deep, alarmed purple. "You should not know that name," whispered Maktor. "But it's true, isn't it?" pressed Ithvex. "The Void Walkers nearly destroyed our ancestors. Beings that could perfectly copy other life forms, absorb their knowledge, and replace them. Our ancestors trapped the last of them on Earth, hoping they would remain there forever." "Enough!" shouted Zinve. "This knowledge was hidden for the safety of all. The quarantine has worked for millions of years." "But it's failing now," said Ithvex. "The humans are venturing into space, and they may be carrying Void Walkers with them. We must warn them." "No," said Maktor firmly. "We will strengthen the quarantine. No communication with Earth or humans will be allowed. And you, Ithvex, will be contained until we decide your punishment." Guards moved forward to take Ithvex away. As they were led out, Ithvex called back, "The humans don't know what walks among them. We must help them." Back on Earth, William sat in the coffee shop, nervously checking his watch. It was 5 minutes past noon, and Rodriguez hadn't shown up. He was about to leave when a young woman with red hair sat down across from him. He didn't recognize her at first. "It's me," said Rodriguez softly. Her hair had been brown before. "I dyed it. They're looking for me." Williams leaned forward. "What did you find?" Rodriguez pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. "Before they took my computers, I managed to download some files. I kept digging into Bennett's past." She turned on the device and a holographic image appeared between them, showing a series of dates and locations. "Bennett doesn't exist," she said. "I mean, there was a real Olivia Bennett once, born in Chicago, brilliant scientist. But she died during that Antarctica expedition I told you about. The official report says she was found alive, but I found the original medical scan." She showed him an image. "This is a dead body, Williams. Frozen solid. No heartbeat, no brain activity. Then 3 hours later, she walks into camp completely fine." Williams stared at the medical data. "So something took her place?" Rodriguez nodded. "And it's happened before. Look at these." She showed more files. 6 similar cases in the last century. People who disappeared were presumed dead, then returned changed somehow. Each one went on to hold positions of significant influence, and each one pushed humanity toward more advanced technology. "They're preparing us for something," whispered Williams. "But what?" "I think I know," said Rodriguez. She showed him one. Last file. "This is from deep space monitoring stations. In the last 5 years, there have been multiple unidentified ships approaching our solar system. They never enter, just watch from a distance. I think they're afraid of us. Or afraid of what's among us. We need to go public with this," said Williams. "It's not that simple," said Rodriguez. "Whatever Bennett is, she's not alone. I found communications between her and at least 5 others like her in key positions around the world. They call themselves the Awakened." Williams felt a chill. "How many are there?" "I don't know. But they're planning something big. Bennett's division is building a massive colonization ship. They're calling it humanity's next great leap forward. Or their way to spread beyond Earth," said Williams. As they talked, neither noticed the man who entered the coffee shop and sat nearby. He was average in every way, easy to overlook, but his eyes, when they flicked toward Williams and Rodriguez, briefly flashed completely black. In a holding cell on the Zarketh homeworld, Ithvex worked desperately. The guards had taken everything except the simple robe they wore. But hidden, in the seam was a small communication device they had stolen from the archive. Ithvex had found something in those ancient records that they hadn't told the council, a way to detect the Void Walkers, a weakness that might help the humans. The device could send one message across the vast distance to Earth. Ithvex had to make it count. They knew they would be executed for this, but the truth had to be shared. 2. The humans who seek the truth. Ithvex began typing. "Beware the ones with eyes of void. They are not new to your world, but ancient beyond measure. They cannot survive direct exposure to..." The cell door slid open. Elder Zinve stood there. her skin patterns showing she knew exactly what Ithvex was doing. "I'm sorry," said Ithvex, pressing the send button as guards rushed in. "But they deserve to know." As the guard seized Ithvex, Elder Zinve looked troubled. "No, young one. No one deserves that knowledge. The horror of knowing what truly walks among them would destroy them all. Why the galaxy's oldest species avoids Earth, the truth still terrifies them, Part 4. The confrontation. Williams and Rodriguez left the coffee shop separately. They had agreed to meet later at a safe house Williams knew about on the outskirts of the city. But Williams never made it there. As he walked to his car, a black van pulled up beside him. The door slid open, and two men in suits jumped out. Williams tried to run, but they caught him easily. One pressed something against his neck, and everything went dark. When Williams woke up, he was in a white room with no windows. Dr. Olivia Bennett sat across from him at a metal table. She looked exactly the same as she had in the Pathfinder. Video, short brown hair, calm face, and eyes that seemed too knowing. "Commander Williams," she said with a small smile. "You've been busy." Williams tried to keep his face blank. "Dr. Bennett, I don't know what you mean." "Please," she said. "Let's not waste time. You've been investigating me. You've spoken to Jack Lawson. You and Ms. Rodriguez have accessed classified files." Williams said nothing. He needed to protect Rodriguez if she was still free. "I'm not angry," continued Bennett. "In fact, I'm impressed. Few humans notice the little inconsistencies around them. Most accept what they're told without question. You're different. What do you want from me?" Bennett leaned forward. "I want you to understand. That's all. To see the bigger picture." "The picture where you're not human?" Williams asked boldly. There was no point pretending now. "Where you're some kind of alien that's been manipulating us," Bennett laughed. It sounded almost genuine. "Alien? No, Commander. We are far more native to this planet than you are." A chill ran down Williams's spine. "What are you?" "We were here first," she said simply. "When this planet was young, long before mammals evolved, we already existed. The ones you call the Zarketh found us when they first explored the galaxy. They called us Void Walkers." Williams tried not to show his fear. "And you take over human bodies?" "We don't take over anything," said Bennett, sounding offended. "We evolve, adapt. The human form is just our current shell, like the dinosaurs were before, and the sea creatures before that." "You killed the real Olivia Bennett in Antarctica." "She was already dying in that storm," Bennett said, her voice softening. "I saved what I could of her memories, her knowledge, her personality. Part of her lives on in me." Williams thought of what Rodriguez had discovered. "There are more of you, in positions of power." Bennett nodded. "We've been guiding human evolution for millennia, nudging your development in certain directions, and now we're ready for the next phase. The colonization ship. Yes, humanity's first true step into the stars. Isn't that what you all want?" Before Williams could answer, an alarm began to sound. Bennett looked annoyed, then touched a device on her wrist. "What is it?" a voice came through. "We've detected an incoming transmission, Dr. Bennett. It bypassed all our security. Origin appears to be from deep space." Bennett's face changed, showing real concern for the first time. "Block it." "We can't," said the voice. "It's already been received." "By whom?" "By Dr. Howard's quantum detection device. It's displaying a message in an unknown language." Bennett stood quickly. "I'll be right there. Keep the commander secure." She walked to the door, then turned back. "We'll continue our conversation later, Commander." After she left, Williams looked around the room for any way to escape. There was nothing. Just the table and two chairs. Not even a camera that he could see, though he was sure they were watching him. Minutes passed. Then the door opened again. Williams expected guards, but instead Lisa Rodriguez slipped in, closing the door behind her. "How did you—" Williams began. "No time," she said urgently. I got a message. I think it's from the aliens, the real aliens, not whatever Bennett is. She held up a small device. Dr. Nicole Howard is a quantum physicist I know. She built a device that can detect unusual energy patterns. It picked up a transmission from deep space. What did it say? Rodriguez showed him the device's screen. Strange symbols scrolled across it, but they were slowly changing to English as the translation program worked. It's not complete yet, she said. But the parts we can read talk about something called void walkers. It says they can't survive direct exposure to. The next part was still untranslated. We're working on the rest. Bennett called herself a void walker, said Williams. She says they've been on Earth longer than humans, guiding our evolution, and now they want to spread to other planets using our colonization ship. Rodriguez looked grim. That ship launches in 3 days. We need to stop it. How? Bennett has people everywhere. We can't trust anyone. Not everyone, said Rodriguez. The message was addressed to the humans who seek the truth. That means others out there are fighting this too. She showed him her device again. More of the message had translated. It says the void walkers can't survive direct exposure to quantum resonance fields. Dr. Howard thinks she can build a device that generates these fields. Hope sparked in Williams for the first time. Can she build it before the launch? She's already working on it, but we need to get to the launch site, and we need help. Williams thought for a moment. I know someone who might believe us. General Harris. He's the one who started me on this investigation. Can we trust him? Asked Rodriguez. We don't have a choice, said Williams. We need someone with access to the launch site. Rodriguez handed him a small earpiece. Put this in, it will let us communicate securely. She checked the corridor. I'll go first. Wait 30 seconds, then follow. The security systems will be down for exactly 2 minutes. Williams watched her slip out the door. He counted to 30, then followed. The corridor was empty. The alarm he had heard earlier was still sounding, but more distantly now. Whatever message had come from space had thrown Bennett's people into confusion. It was their only chance. Williams made it outside without being spotted. Rodriguez was waiting in a car across the street. They drove away quickly. Where are we going? He asked. To meet Dr. Howard. She has the prototype ready, but we need to test it. As they drove through the night, Williams thought about what Bennett had said. The Void Walkers had been on Earth for millions of years. They thought of humans as their creation, their project, and now they wanted to spread beyond Earth. The launch in 3 days wasn't just humanity's first step to the stars. It was the moment when an ancient, hidden species would break free from their prison, and only Williams, Rodriguez, and a handful of others stood in their way. But they had one advantage: a desperate message from across the stars, from someone who had faced these creatures before, someone who had risked everything to warn humanity about the truth that had terrified the galaxy's oldest species for millions of years. Williams only hoped it would be enough. Why the galaxy's oldest species avoids Earth. The truth still terrifies them, Part 5. Humanity's stand-on broke over the New Mexico desert. The massive colonization ship stood tall against the pink sky, gleaming with promise. In 3 hours, it would launch, carrying 5,000 carefully selected humans to a new world. At least that was the official story. In a small warehouse 10 miles from the launch site, Williams, Rodriguez, and Dr. Nicole Howard worked frantically. Howard was a tall woman with gray-streaked black hair and intense focus. She had been working on quantum physics theories when Rodriguez contacted her about the alien message. The device is ready, said Howard, holding up what looked like a metal box with a glowing blue center. It generates a quantum resonance field that should affect the Void Walkers based on the information in that message. Should? Asked Williams. Howard shrugged. We've only had 2 days to build it, no time for proper testing. Will it hurt humans? Asked Rodriguez. No. It only affects the molecular structure the message described. The Void Walkers operate on a quantum level that humans don't. Williams nodded. Now we need to get it onto that ship. They had managed to contact General Harris, who believed their evidence about Bennett and the others. He had arranged security passes for them, but warned them to be careful. Bennett's influence reached everywhere. "Remember," said Williams as they prepared to leave, "we don't know how many of them are at the launch site. Trust no one." They drove to the launch center in a military vehicle Harris had provided. Their passes got them through the main gate easily. Too easily, Williams thought. The launch center was bustling with activity. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel moved purposefully around the massive ship. Williams led the way to the main control building, the device hidden in a backpack. "We need to place it at the heart of the ship," said Howard quietly, "near the main power core. That will spread the field throughout the entire vessel." They were almost to the ship entrance when a familiar voice called out, "Commander Williams, what a surprise." Dr. Olivia Bennett stood before them, smiling coolly. She was wearing the formal white uniform of the mission commander. Next to her stood 4 other people in similar uniforms. Williams recognized them from Rodriguez's files. All were suspected voidwalkers. "Dr. Bennett," said Williams, trying to sound casual, "we're here for the launch." "Of course you are," she said. Her eyes flicked to the backpack. "And what do you have there? A gift for our historic journey?" Before Williams could respond, General Harris appeared, flanked by armed soldiers. "Dr. Bennett," he said firmly, "these people are here on my authority." Bennett turned to him. "General, I wasn't aware you were involved in launch preparations." "I am now," said Harris. "We need to talk, Doctor. Privately." Bennett's smile faded slightly. "I'm afraid I don't have time. The launch sequence has already begun." "That's not possible," said one of the technicians nearby. "Launch is scheduled for 3 hours from now." "Plans change," said Bennett. She nodded to the 4 people beside her. They moved with shocking speed, grabbing weapons from nearby guards before anyone could react. "No one will stop this launch," said Bennett, her voice changing, becoming deeper and eerier. "We have waited millions of years for this day." Chaos erupted. The soldiers with Harris raised their weapons. Bennett's people fired first. Harris fell, clutching his chest. Williams grabbed Rodriguez and Howard and pulled them behind a large container as bullets flew. "We need to get to the ship," shouted Howard over the gunfire. "It's our only chance to stop them." Williams looked around desperately. They were pinned down, but they were also close to one of the maintenance entrances to the ship. "When I say go, run for that door," he told the others. He pulled out the gun Harris had given him and fired several shots to provide cover. "Go!" They ran, ducking low. Bullets hit the ground around them. Rodriguez reached the door first and swiped their access card. It opened and they tumbled inside. Alarms were sounding throughout the ship. A computerized voice announced, "Launch sequence initiated. All personnel clear the vessel. T-minus 15 minutes. "They're launching now," said Rodriguez in horror. "We need to get to the core." They ran through the empty corridors. Most of the crew hadn't even boarded yet. The ship had been designed to run with minimal human oversight, with advanced computers handling most functions. "This way," said Howard, following signs to the engine room. They reached the massive central chamber where the ship's power core hummed with energy. The room was empty except for one person, Dr. Bennett. "How did she get here so fast?" whispered Rodriguez. Bennett smiled. "I know this ship better than anyone. I designed it after all." Her eyes suddenly turned completely black. "We designed it to carry us to the stars." "Why?" asked Williams, trying to keep her talking while Howard quietly prepared the device behind him. "Why do you need a ship? Why use humans at all?" "We cannot leave Earth on our own," said Bennett. "We are bound to this planet, to its specific quantum frequency. We need human bodies to shield us, to carry us out of our prison." "Prison?" asked Williams. Bennett's face showed anger for the first time. "The Zarketh trapped us here millions of years ago. They feared us because we showed them what they could become, what all life can become with our guidance." "You mean what you can consume," said Williams. Bennett moved closer. "We don't consume. We elevate, improve. Humanity would still be swinging in trees without our influence. And now you want to spread to other worlds. To other species, yes. The galaxy is full of potential, Commander. Full of life that can be improved, evolved, guided to perfection." Howard had the device ready now. She nodded to Williams. "There's just one problem with your plan," said Williams. "We know how to stop you." Bennett laughed. "Nothing can stop us. We have waited too long, planned too carefully." The Zarketh stopped. "You before," said Rodriguez. "They sent us a message, told us how to fight you." For the first time, Bennett looked uncertain. "Impossible. No Zarketh would dare break the quarantine." "One did," said Williams. "Now." Howard activated the device. Blue light filled the room, spreading in waves. Bennett screamed, a sound that was not human at all. Her skin seemed to ripple and shift, as though something underneath was trying to escape. "What have you done?" she gasped, falling to her knees. "Created a quantum resonance field," said Howard. "It disrupts your molecular structure, separates you from your human host." Bennett's body shook violently. Then, like black smoke, something began to pull away from her skin. A shapeless, shifting mass that seemed to absorb all light. It hung in the air for a moment, then dissipated with a final shriek. The human body that had been Dr. Bennett collapsed. Empty. "Launch sequence aborted," announced the computer suddenly. "System reset required." Williams looked at the others in shock. "We did it?" Howard checked her device. "The field is spreading throughout the ship. If there are others like her on board, they won't survive." Rodriguez was checking her tablet. "I'm getting reports from outside. The other 4 who were with Bennett, they just collapsed. People are saying black smoke came out of them and disappeared." "How many more are there?" asked Williams. "I don't know," said Rodriguez, "but they'll be weakened now, and we know how to fight them." As they made their way back through the ship, Williams thought about Bennett's words. The Void Walkers had guided human evolution, pushed technology forward, all to eventually break free from Earth. But they had underestimated humanity, the very species they claimed to have created. In trying to shape humans to serve their needs, they had created their own worst enemy, a species that would not be controlled, that would fight even against gods if necessary. Across the galaxy, the Zarketh Council received an automated alert. The quarantine beacon on Earth had detected a massive quantum resonance event, a technology the Zarketh themselves had developed millions of years ago to fight the Void Walkers. "Impossible," whispered Elder Maktor. "The humans couldn't have developed this technology on their own." "Unless," began Elder Zinve, "unless they had help." She looked at the empty seat where Ithvex would have sat. "Perhaps we have underestimated both species." The Elder's skin patterns changed to show deep thought and concern. For the first time in millions of years, they considered breaking their own quarantine. Not out of fear, but out of something new. Respect. The truth that had terrified them for so long was changing. Earth was no longer just the prison of the Void Walkers. It was home to humanity, a species that had faced the ancient horror and stood their ground. Perhaps, the elders thought, it was time to meet these humans properly.